powerhouse, and the COVID-19 man has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the Alef Bet, which is the original place for the soul of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like he's never been, in the power of the Father, in the powerhouse. Cause that's what War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Alef Bet we're connected. War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the powerhouse we're connected. Truth in the T.O.R.A.H where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I sure don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure. As God ordained before the sun began to score. This ain't no lie, we're about to fly. Cause with the truth, there's nothing that can be denied. Here the COVID-19 man is hugging you up. To the Alef Bet, to the powerhouse, where you ain't been. The COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up. Cause that's what War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Alef Bet we're connected. War Deck Trick, double rectic, to no one else I'm genuflecting. War Deck Trick, double rectic, to the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back, cause you will find in there the powerhouse not scared. You won't be silenced, nobody can touch what you will find in there. Gets to cut the massive bag of lies, the right you know the cry. Cause the COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Leave the power show, ride his mule around. All right, and hello, my fellow Tabarians. Hopefully, I did not start it too late, but I thought I would share this today. During this week, I managed to talk to one of my close friends here, Jimmy Toledo. We were going over so many things, and he was encouraged by a passage that I shared with him from 1 Kings chapter 22. I thought I'll share that with you as well. Something to give you a little encouragement how we have to take the situation that we're in right now. A lot of people can't seem to be handling what's going on. It's a whole year with a lot of perplexity, and so that's why I made this cover today, the COVID-19 man, teaching you to lead the power show and ride the mule around. And that M.U.L.E stands for many things now. One of the main things, materialistic undertakings leading economies, or materialistic undertaking leading everybody, because everybody seems to be. And the reason why I refer to mule, because you know that a mule comes from man interjecting and getting a horse, and a donkey, to mate, and then the mule is born, and the mule cannot procreate because that's the end of the story. God doesn't want that to continue. So the economies that we create that are not organic, they are not self-replicating, they are like the mule, because they need the man energy, manpower. We have to interfere to keep it going. All right, so this is strange service. When you provide a service that God did not create for it to exist, that's called a strange service, or abodasara. Abodasara means service or work, and sara means strange or foreign. Strange service is also, abodasara means idolatry. So everything that has not to do with the service that God intended for us to have is something that is replacing His service. But in any case, that's why this whole industries of the economies of the world are nothing but a big system of strange and foreign service to God. Abodasara, if you please. Let me get here to a window that we can all relate to here. Let's get into this one. All right. So here we are. I'm looking at Alef Bet. Now, I didn't have time to prepare my thing, but this is something I borrowed from Google. Okay, Google came up with this parent company called Alef Bet Inc. All right, and I'm looking to register. Alphabet Inc. That's what they call it. Right. I'm looking forward to register mine Friday when I get paid. Called the Alef Bet Inc. Because that's available. At least the AlefBetinc.com is available. So I'm gonna see if I can get that registered, and get my everything under that umbrella. So that is basically, how things are working out right now. So as it stands right now, I'm going to use this sample that I have here. So even though Alefbet Inc. did not existed in as of October 2015, Google, which is this one here. Let me see if I can put here. Yeah, this here you can see my arrow. Google decided to create Alefbet Inc. and put all the little companies underneath that, like an umbrella, like a parent. You see, but the interesting thing is that it makes sense to alphabetize and alphabetize the companies and having it under one umbrella. But the thing is that I was considering how it is that in the Torah, what we're taught, the Torah teaches you a very interesting thing. It teaches you that everything came from the Ab. That's Alef Bet, because Alef Bet in the Torah means father. All right. So when you're looking at the Alef Bet, that's what a father is, and also stands for alphabet. And all the nations of the world use alphabets, okay, and they teach the alphabet. But what the Torah is teaching is very, because that's what the Jewish people call themselves, the people of the book. And when the kids are 12 or 13, they do their bar mitzvahs. They become the son or daughter of the command, or the mitzvot. This bar like a son or bar, and mitzvot, is the command, the son or the command. And the reason being is because they are being taught what was taught from the very beginning. We understand when God created Adam and Eve, okay, the Alef Bet was there, because you need to understand that everything that's been made, especially in this retarded garden, where does it come from? Because the Torah teaches the alphabet is the parent of everything that has ever been made. And is that a fact or it isn't? Everything that's ever been written, every script that's ever been written, everything that's ever been served comes from a rearrangement of the Alef Bet, or a rearrangement of your alphabet in your country. So every country, every creative person, every entrepreneur, every corporation, they use alphabets and they different rearrangements, and so they can make a service, they can make a product, they can make a script, and they can make a mission statement, they can make manuals, they can make everything and run their services that way. So the alphabet, the Torah is the first one to say that, calls the alphabet, Alef Bet, calls it the father. And he's saying that the alphabet is the parent, is the father that makes and takes care of everything. Okay? It's not something far-fetched, it's a fact. Okay? So that's just a fact. You don't have to have any special subjective faith and feel it in your heart. No. That's everybody will agree. Nobody dares to disagree that everything comes from an alphabet. And everything that has ever been made is only a rearrangement of the alphabet put in certain order. So the alphabet rules. That's why the alphabet in the Torah, the Alef Bet, is called the father, the founder and creator of everything. And so it's dealing with things that are palpable, that are, that you can touch and it's objective, concrete, established, right? Something that is concrete and established. We all agree. But then the Alef Bet, or the alphabet, has to be kept, in its full cohesive order as a wholesome word. Okay, because only when the words are kept as wholesome words with all the definitions and meanings, that you can run an industry, that you can run an economy. So the only thing you inherit, okay, when you go someplace to work, is not the product or service you're making, is the words that you're hearing, okay, the words that you're receiving and you're hearing to deliver, okay, that product, that service, that character, if you're a movie star or what have you. So it is the ears, only ears that you need, because at the very beginning, the Alef Bet, the original Alef Bet of the Hebrew, the father of all creation, the founder of everything, he took his sweet time, in 6 days, making the moon, making the stars, making, everything that was needed, making everything on the earth, making the grass, setting up the ocean, setting up the sky, putting all the insects, all the animals and everything here. On all those things, man wasn't around. to participate in the manufacturing of the oceans, or the manufacturing of the insects, or the animals, or the plants. None of that God used anything of any labor or any manpower. Everything that came from the labor of the flesh of man. Everything was done, by the spoken word, and as the word, everything, because God writes words and codes in protein. That's where he writes the DNA, and he writes the RNA and the protein. He has a way. Everything is writing material for him. He communicates through the air. Everything communicates the word. So this alphabet Alef Bet was showing us that it's so ingenious and so fantastic that it can do all these things for mankind without the need of man working to make them. So God made about 400,000 plants, we're told. About 300,000 of them are edible, right? So none of them will require us for us to go work and labor, so that they say the apple tree, we will go and work for the apple tree so they can make the apples. None of that garbage that happens in the retarded garden now. Okay, but that was the case. So God was showing you, look at the way I can manage the alphabet. I can manage the order of words. Look at how magnificent of a job I've done. So then when men arrived, he was going to teach them what I call the AVS. The A and the V for Victor and the S for Sam, meaning the alphabet value system. Okay? He was going to make them understand, look, I made you capable of understanding the alphabet that I used to make everything. I make you capable. That's why you were made in my image, because you can also receive this Alef Bet and work with me. After I given you 6 days, of proving that I know how to use it, because look, everything is resilient, everything self-replicates, procreates, everything can, multiply and do everything without you helping them. That's fantastic. Now, let me tell you how you're going to be using this now from this point on. So he was going to teach them the Alef Bet value system. Okay? So that way, all that man needed to do is only listen, give ear. That's why the main verse, Shema, hear, listen, just give ear. And that's all God requires. Anytime that you're ready to work with God, he doesn't need sacrifices. He doesn't need any blood offering. He doesn't need anybody to come in between. He just needs to have your ears open. All right? And to give you understanding of that, I'm going to take you to this next thing here. Okay, here. Oh, yeah. So let me take you to this one here. All right. Let me see. All right. So here we go. In Psalms, it says, let me go down to this. Verse 5 will start. Many, O Lord, my God, are thy wonderful works which thou hast done, and thy thoughts which are to us onward, towards us. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. And then he's talking here, sacrifice and offerings thou dost not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened. Burnt offerings and sin offerings hast thou not required. Okay? God only needs to have your ears open to the Torah, because the Torah is directly to his character. And he tells you to be in awe of the alphabet. Because when your eyes are open, then you realize that when God's saying that the alphabet is from where everything comes from, it doesn't require, any special kind of subjective belief. That's just a fact. Especially in this 21st century, we know that everything has to be patented, made into a manual, and everything has to be taught that way, because the alphabet that is employed to make all the divers or the different books and manuals for everything is the founder and parent of everything. And we take that very serious. And we know that the people that work in any company or corporation, they have to incorporate and become the embodiment, of you please, of that product and of that service or no, that character, they're movie stars, they have to become the embodiment of it in order for them to be able to produce the product, service, and the character they need to present to the world. So that's why it's called incorporation. So the alphabet has to be incorporated into our soul, and then there's connection. Then there's empowerment, because we are word empowerment, like I told you. I told you the last time, there were the crystal radios that they used to make that have no battery, but the antenna itself, constitute that, that battery, that energy, the radio wave that is being diffused and transmitted and is received, and power. So everything is word power. So here we are, voila, look at us. We are the greatest word power, ingenuity that has ever been created by God. All right, so we are not able just to be empowered. We are able to understand the one sending the message, and we can, display the way he felt about the message, do everything to express everything to the minutest detail. That was the great thing about us being empowered by the word. So it says that we just need an ear, the Shema Israel. And whoever wrote the book of Hebrews misquote this verse, because it says sacrifice and offering are done now, but thou hast prepared a body. That's how they mistranslated in the book of Hebrews, and they make a whole doctrine that sacrifices are necessary. If you read the book of Hebrews, that's how they translate this verse. But they forgot to change it in the King James. This is the King James I'm reading. So in the King James here, it says, ears hast thou opened. They're trying to quote this verse, but in Septuagint they forgot to change it. So in any case, so ears is all that is needed. Okay, so it's you and the word in your soul, and they are, a business can be run, a character can be presented, a product can be rendered, all right? So what happens was that God did not get to teach men, the alphabet value system, that who God is, the alphabet, and the soul, who is made in the image, to be reciprocating and receiving and communicating with the Alef. That's all that is ever going to be needed to run the whole world. And that's how it has been all this time. It has never changed. The word has to be given to the soul of a man, and then they're able to build either the pyramids when they were working way back then, or even the industries of today, which is M.U.L.E industry, because you have to be run by manpower. They are not self-replicating and self-duplicating like they are the organic garden. So we live in a very deficient. So there you go. So what happens? The first commandment that he was not told to do, not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the judgment of what is good and evil. And what the judgment for what? The judgment of what is the right and wrong way to utilize words. Because that's what God is all about. The use of your words and the keeping up of words in the wholeness and fullness of the definition. That's all God holds into, and he was going to teach us to have that kind of a mindset and that kind of an appreciation for the way he does and takes care of words. But he created a tree, external thing, something external. When God created a tree of judgment of what good and evil, had to use the words, that doesn't mean he lost that judgment in himself. He had it in himself. He knew especially how well to use it. And he had displayed for 6 days that he knew how to use it, so that all the things that he created were not a burden to anybody else. Everything was able to, pick up itself and do his job, right? So he was showing you the best way that he could do that. 6 days of showing you that he knew how to run himself around the Alef, and he was going to teach us that value system. But then the idea came that now not only the air was going to consume, because now the tree was looked upon, so the ears desired to have something, and they look about something that they desire that will make them wise like God, as if it wasn't God did not have it in himself to communicate his wisdom in them. Okay, because he was made to come through us. So we weren't going to know his wisdom communicating in us in that kind of intimacy. So therefore, the value system was switched. Okay, we thought of something external besides the Torah, besides the Alef Bet, and besides the soul. We thought that there's got to be something else in this world that we need to taste of to acquire something that's already in God. But we can do it all of ourselves. So what have we done with the use of the Alef Bet, thinking that we have the judgment of what's the right and wrong way to use it? we have created retarded economies. We have created a mule. We have taken knowledge and we have turned the things upside down. We have chopped the trees and make buildings instead. We have gathered all the solid metal. We have taken it whether they chelated form. The gold that's chelated, can give so much vitamins to a tree that they can pass it to us. But no, we went out of our way to turn things upside down and create plants, man-made plants that have to be made from the ground up. We have to go work in them to package them, to wrap them up. We have to go and distribute them. So we went backwards. We created a very retarded garden indeed that needs all the time the manpower. All right, so that's what we made. We made a mess of things. Okay, but somehow this value system is out there, and that's what I was trying to make you understand with the title of this. That once you understand that no matter what these big companies do to make a product and service, and they go to the patent office, like I explained in the last time I taught you, that a patent office just being a parenting place, a place that's being a parent to the corporate tycoons' ideas, protecting it from being an intellectual property that nobody will steal from them. So, but no matter where they store it in that patent office, unless that manual on that product is put into the soul, the people they hire, their hirelings, that business, that character is going nowhere. Okay? Because it's always going to be like that. So that never stops. But the thing is, you'll be bamboozled into discarding how powerful is, the administration of the Alef Bet in your soul that enables you to run all the economies and then make you take that value away from what you are and make you look, no. Value is in the patent office, in the person that thought of it first, and when you are the one making it happen. Okay? So that's how people get to rob you of your heritage. All right? Because you're not listening to the Torah. You're not listening to the founder. Okay? So when I look at everything nowadays, the way I look at our creation is whether I see a car running by on the streets, I see buildings up by the road and everything, I'm not looking at the picture of those things. I'm looking at the people behind that made those things. That sat down, calculated, do the thing and make it work. And then the mechanic that keeps the maintenance. So it is the souls that have the word in them that keep the economy running. Because they make them, manufacture them, and they do the maintenance. So if it isn't for the Alef Bet, the power of the word in the soul that empowers the soul, there's nothing that is made and there's nothing that be maintained. So the consumer doesn't count at all. Because the consumer is just an echo chamber. It's already a burial ground for a word. Because you have no appreciation for the word the way God does. So that's the way to look at things. So you need to come back to it and say you need to acquire that mindset of the maker, because if you want to be with the maker, to make, sustain, and produce things, you're just going to value words. That's all they give you in the workplace anyhow. You go there to make whatever, you don't take the products and services, you just take the word that makes you able to produce those products and services. That's all you inherit. You need to have Shema, you need to hear and pay attention to. And that's why you are the value generating entity. This is not the patent office. Because when you give to the patent office, then you give value to pieces of paper that call money, or give value to pieces of metal that call silver or gold. All those things are not needed. You understand? They're all run by manpower. All right? It's all in us making it happen. We're casting the value away of the AVS, the alphabet value system. We're casting it out to other things that are external, that do not ever need to have it. Okay? But that's the Avodah Zarah. The strange service. God asks you just to do service for what you have. He gave you a body that can duplicate because he's interested in the production of humanity, in the production of humankind. That's what he made it for. And then he got the word to give them to be able to sustain and to relate with the environment, to know how to be appreciative, of the trees, of all things in nature, how to connect with them in the mindset of the Alef Bet, that made everything so wonderful and so fantastic. Okay, so everything was there like that, but we have sold ourselves for nothing, so that we acquire some sort of value when pieces of paper say that this is how much I have in the bank. or some goal says that this is how much fortune I have based on the external value of things. How stupid have you become? All right? So don't you forget that, that's that's how the world has robbed you. Because like I told you, pesel, which means an image, is a narrative that supports an external legality, okay? So whenever anything is added to the Torah, they quote a couple of verses here, and then they have you value something outside of it to make you complete. No, my friends. They are lying. They're an abodasare. What I call an idolatry system. That's why I call the polyvoices or the politicians. Politicians are nothing but a factory of abodasara. Okay? Let me read you something here so you understand what I'm referring to here. And in Deuteronomy, okay, we're looking at Deuteronomy here. And then I'm going to look at verse 35. God is talking here because, in the book of Deuteronomy, the book of the thing, Hadabarim, which means the things or the words. Words and the things are one and the same in the Hebrew mindset there. Because without the word, there's no naming of a thing, nor making of a thing, nor maintenance of a thing. So once you know the word and you know all the definitions and meanings, then you have the thing and you have everything. Everything that comes out of you does not take care of itself. You have to be one that takes. So everything that is in you in the fullness of definition, that's the word and that's the thing. There's no separation. That's why this ehad has to occur. You got to understand that it's you and the word. My beloved is mine and I am his. That settles it. That's all that there is. That's all that is needed. The founder, the Alef Bet, and the recipient of the Alef Bet, which us. We are the ones prepared the special housing for the alphabet. That's all we are. We are the special temple for the Alef Bet. For the alphabet, that's what our soul is. Okay, and outside of it, nothing is needed. Okay, so nothing should come in between that, And what all these politicians, they try to do is try to get you away to make you think that there's something outside of God that's either causing havoc, and then therefore they can provide a solution. But let's just read what God says here about himself. So you understand not to go and do a strange service to God or attribute something to something else that only God is doing. Here we're going to see what God does, okay? Let me start in verse 35. It says, to me, that's Deuteronomy 32, verse 35. To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. That means I reward and I also get even, okay? I can reward some people and I also can, blow them away. I can do either one. Those two things belong to me. I can take vengeance of people and I can reward them too. It says, their foot shall slide in due time. You got to read previously what is happening there because it's warning the nation of Israel what they were going to be doing. It says, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. For the Lord shall judge his people. By the way, this whole thing I'm reading is a song that Moses wrote. It's a song. For the Lord shall judge his people and repent himself for his servants. So he's going to judge his people, and also for his servants' sake, he's going to repent, change his mind, But he says here, for the Lord shall judge his people and repent himself for his servants when he seeth that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. Okay? So what happened with the people that walk away, especially the nation of Israel, they go and they adopt other religions. They become Muslims, they become Christians, they become whatever else as the world has to offer. They walk away from the Torah, and so God says, okay, you go and trust other gods, you go and trust other rocks, because the Torah calls itself the rock. You go and trust other rocks, well, let them deliver you. You say that those rocks are going to do something for you when things get tough, they're going to come and take you away to heaven. So let them see if that's going to happen. Because that's what God does. You walk away from me, so I will choose your own delusions. So God set it up so the gods that you're trusting outside of the Torah are not going to be able to deliver when the rubber hits the road, when things get really rough. And it really gets out of control, like the whole nations are feeling right now, the pressures of the ridiculous leaders of the M.U.L.E industry, right? as they're feeling right now. Oh, how come I haven't escaped from here? How come God hasn't picked me up? All these things. People are wondering about their things are not working together. All these people told them, especially I see a lot of the evangelicals, a lot of them were saying, prophesying, for sure this is going to happen, for sure that's going to happen, and they're saying all these things, and everybody's been wondering in suspense right now what things are going to develop. But God knows how to do things. God knows everything His way, because He's got to frustrate the gods that people are trusting as, making sure that those gods don't deliver on their promises. Because God says the only one that should be trusted as a prophet is the one that says something's going to happen, and it happens, and He doesn't let you. What He says is not to make you wander away from the Torah, but to bring great exaltation to the Torah, but it happens. So whenever somebody says something, and it doesn't even happen once, that person is never a prophet. Because with God, it's not just that you guess it, and it's only once. And there's a lot of evangelicals that were swearing up and down certain things were going to happen, and now they're wondering, but people keep on trusting. They're just like politicians, okay? They just create things like that, and hopes after hopes, even though they fail to produce exactly what they were saying, okay? But in any case, this is all God saying here. So I'm going back to this. It says, for the Lord shall judge His people and repent Himself for His servants when He seeth that their power is gone. You see, the things they were trusting in, nothing is working. All the gods that they were thinking, they know for sure they will deliver them. And there's none shut up or left. And He shall say, where are their gods? God is going to make fun of them. So you wander off from me. You want to believe in other gods, right? Where are they to deliver you now? Okay, when are they going to step in? All right, when are they going to, so this is, that's where you see that the power is God, and there is none shut up or left. And He shall say, where are their gods? Their rock in whom they trusted, because they have another rock in another religion, right? Which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of the drink offerings. Let them rise up and help you. Let the God you've been claiming that's going to go get one of you, let Him come and do something for you now. Let's see that God deliver you now. Okay? And be your protection. So let that God be your protection now. You were saying that He does everything for you. Okay? See now, and then look at God. God said, I love this verse. I just love it. But you need to understand what God is saying here. See here. See now that even I am He. I am He who? I am that rock that you forsook and went for another rock. Yeah. And there is no God with me. There's no other God with me. It says, I kill. Look at what it says. God kills and I make alive. God makes alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. So anything that happens, if you're going to go to your gods to take you out of it, say, oh God, it's God Himself who does vengeance and He does reward. He runs everything. That's why you don't understand, He hides Himself. Because you keep on believing, all these people keep on believing that God is only bound to do good. The devil can only do bad, but I can choose between good and evil. How stupid is that? You have more power than God and the devil then, if that's the case. But God says here in verse 39, see now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there anyone that can deliver out of my hand. Okay, so what does that mean? What does this mean? Does that mean that if the virus comes, is the virus going to kill you? If you're saying that, that's Avodah Zarah. You're attributing to a virus what God does. God says that He kills and He makes alive. He wounds and He heals. So anybody's trying to make you afraid outside of God that something can kill you or something can heal you, that's Avodah Zarah. That's an idolatry system. And that's why politicians and polar voices, people that speak outside of just what the Torah says, they're only taking you to a system of worshiping and attributing to something else no matter how minuscule, how small this virus is, you're attributing to that virus only what God does. Okay? But that's the whole system. The whole system is based upon that. So you understand? So it's an abodasara. It's a foreign service. Your the value system. God says, I made you for myself, but if you're not following the wholesome word, first of all, you destroy my character, because the character of wholesomeness that I don't need to get into the creation, it will not come out of you. You will only be a dedicated consumer. You will be eating and abusing and getting the next upgrade, and as such, you're only a destroyer of creation. Okay, because you don't know how to keep wholesome words. So the destroyer eventually is destroyed. So God just gets rid of those that want to be just consumers and destroyers of the world and munch away the world. Okay, so everything is perfect with God. But you understand that when this whole world has been left as a consumer, they don't appreciate the Alef Bet. They don't appreciate what a founder does, and they don't live in the awareness of the Alef Bet and in the habits of the Alef Bet, then, you already have wiped out the character of God out of your soul, and you're just being a burden to everything in the earth because you're there to munch it and use it away. So, but that's the whole idea here. So if we're going to understand that God does these things, then nothing else gets the credit. Something bad is happening, God is making it happen. You guys should read this whole thing. I mean, because there's a lot of stuff to happen here. Just let me see if I can take you earlier to that part. Let me see. Okay, I will heap mischief upon them. There's a lot of stuff in this. This chapter is good of a lot of understanding. I want to see what it says. I will hide myself from them. I think it's here too where it says that. Let me see. Yeah, let's see here. But this usually up it up. But yeah, you should read the when you get a chance. I was gonna, because I don't want to get into too much. It was gonna take too much of my time. But this whole thing of verse 32 is all to make you see, that when you don't obey God, you walk away. Says here, because this is a song. Okay, let me just read this whole thing anyhow. I might as well, might as well learn something. Give ear. This is a song that Moses wrote, right? Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. He's addressing the people of Israel, okay? Because when you become the owner of a man-made plant, you have the schematics and the blueprints of the whole plant, from making the ceiling to building the ground and to running everything in it. So when you become the inheritors, the inheritance is the Alef Bet, you become the roof, you become the ground, you become everything that sustains the Alef Bet. So he's addressing because the soul is the creation for the alphabet to dwell in, for the Alef Bet to dwell in, and it has always been. And God has never abandoned that. We have forgotten, but not him. Give ear, all ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of the Lord. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God. Don't ascribe greatness to anything. Don't give greatness to any man, to any politician, to any virus, to any vaccination. Don't ascribe greatness to anything but to Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Okay? Ascribe greatness. He is the rock. His work is perfect, complete, wholesome, and in its entirety. Nothing else needs to be added to it. Okay? For all his ways are judgment, a God of truth and without iniquity. Just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Do ye thus requite the Lord, O foolish people and unwise?
Is not he thy father? Your alphabet, the Alefbet, the father's alphabet. Is not he, thy father that hath bought thee? Had he not made thee and established thee? You were made complete for him, right? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elder, and they will tell thee. Let me go all the way up here. Verse 7. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land. Okay, verse 10, let me keep going here. He found him in a desert land and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about, he instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye, something a wonderful treasure. As an eagle stirred up her nest, fluttered over her young, spread it about her wings, taken them, buried them unto her wings. So the Lord alone did lead him. There was nobody else, right? Just doing elders in the wilderness. And there was no strange God, no Avodah, no strange service. It was complete. The love of my espousals, he says in Jeremiah. I love how he said it there. And there was no strange God with him. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields. And he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams. Let me see here. And the breed of Bashan and goats, with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape. But Jehusharum waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. The Torah was no longer his completion. The Torah was no longer everything that he needed. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. That's Avodah Zarah, strange services. With abomination provoked they him to anger. They cast the sacrifice unto devils, not to God. To gods whom they knew not. To new gods that came up, newly up. I mean, every day they were coming up with new gods. Because new narrative. Because every day you can come up with some story. A new narrative supporting some third party that you need to believe in, all right? Whom you fathers fear not. You just came up with them. Of the rock that begat thee, the rock that gave you birth, the Torah, the Alef Bet that gave you birth. He says, and the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful. You don't even think on it. Forget about it. And hast forgotten God that formed thee. And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them. Because he hated that. He abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide. Here's the verse. I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very froward, rebellious generation, children in whom is no faith. I will hide my face is because the Torah, when you open up, that's the face of God, the works there. When you look at one verse in there to take you away and to look at something else, you're no longer looking at the face of the completeness of the Torah, of the Alef Bet, but you're looking at some other religion that's going to, from a couple of verses from this one, they're going to build another one, and therefore you're never going to see God in the pages of those religions, in the pages of whatever was added after the Torah. You're never going to find him there, so he's going to be hidden from you. Because you're going to be assumed from these other teachings that God is in this way, God cannot do this, God has to do good, you get all these things, you have no idea how God is running everything because you have forgotten to look at the Torah. At the face of God there. Okay? So it says, they have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in mine anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I. Who's going to do it? Jehovah, Yud Hevafe. I will heap mischief upon them. I will spend my arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of servants of the dust. Okay, poison of servants of the dust, the sword without and terror within. Okay, so they're going to be afraid from within, and outside anything can happen at any moment. You see, the sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, and suckling also with the man of gray hairs. I said I would scatter them into corners. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men, were it not that I fear the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, unless they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord had not done all this. For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. You understand? No knowledge and no understanding. They have faith in other religions, because it's not a lack of faith. People have faith in a lot of stuff, but it's knowledge and understanding that enables you to speak and not be silenced when something happens like the way it's happening right now. A lot of things are happening in our society right now, and people are left silenced. You understand that you are made from the dabar, from the word. And if you are made, basically inside you are made of words, so you should be able to speak, and be able to stand for who God is. And nobody should be able to silence you, because you know what your heritage is. All right, so if at this hour you are being silent, you are being compliant because you do not know how to answer. You do not even know your own constitution of your own country, so you lost your country a long time already. So when you are in that situation, that's because there's lack in you. And no matter how much faith you have in whatever religion is that you have, the fact is you've been silenced, and that's what the Bible says, destroy. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. The word destroy is dama, which means they are being silenced. They have been made mute. They cannot speak. They cannot respond because they have no knowledge. They have no understanding. They have faith in some religion, all right, but that faith doesn't give them any power to respond. That's why in this song I'm singing, I'm taking you from the land of silence, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the Alef Bet, which is the original place for the soul of a man. Okay, so I'm singing that song in here because that's what it's all about. You get to understand what you are, the value generating entity. All the monetary systems in the world cannot convince you otherwise. All monetary systems are based on faith systems, believing in something external that is needed, what is the manpower, combined with the alphabet that runs everything, in society. The M.U.L.E, what I call the manpower upholding lame economies, because that's what we do. It's a lame economy, the ones that we have made the whole thing from the ground up. But it's nonetheless a M.U.L.E. So when you realize you ride the M.U.L.E, you don't let them ride you. And you lead the power show. Because the power show is the word for elephant. El means power and fant means show. So the power show is the elephant. So you can lead the elephant and you can ride the mule. Because you know where you stand. You know that the value system is in the Alef Bet, and you united to that Alef Bet, nothing else matters. And nobody can silence you, because that's a fact. Everything that they have you believe is nothing but an abodasara, and strange service, an idolatry system. Okay, so let me see, where am I here? Okay. Uh, for they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they will consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except the rock has sold them? The rock here being, the Torah, the word of the Maker that was written for them, the 304,805 letters, rearrangements of the Alef Bet. That is the right counsel for the whole soul of a man, okay? So, okay, let me see, where am I? Okay. I should want that one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except the rock has sold them, and the Lord had shut them up. For the rock is not as our rock. Okay, they believe in our rock, but it's not as our rock. Even our enemies themselves being judges, for their vine is the vine of Sodom. They drink doctrine, but it's a doctrine, that sells out the character of God for any pleasure in this world. And of the fields of Gomorrah, the grapes are grapes of gall, bitterness. Their clusters are bitter. Let me get back in there. Verse 33, their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asp. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Okay, I take vengeance and I reward. And that's where I start. Their foot shall slide in due time. Okay, for the day of their calamity is at hand. And then he goes to everything else that I read, going down to verse 39. See now that I am even he, even I am he, and there's no God with me. I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal. Neither is there anyone that can deliver out of my hand. So, what are we to take from this? Well, as it is, a lot of people think that God that has no control whatsoever on what's going on, and that the farthest thing, He is in perfect control of everything, okay? But He's dealing with a rebellious nation, and He wants to bring them to an end. So a lot of this, especially because this is the whole Torah, the whole Tanakh is a promised letter to the Jewish people, to the chosen people, because they were chosen to be an or to the goyim, a light unto the Gentiles. Okay, that was a great job. Like, I wanted to show His character to them. They were going to be the priests of the nations. But many of them wandered as they went. There was in diaspora. They were spread out all over the place. But they adopted gods that thought that they could do something better, than Yud-Heh-Vav. And so now the whole world is experiencing the squeeze, and they're all claiming to their foreign gods, oh, deliver us, we're trusting you. We're coming on with all kinds of stuff, singing to the God, we still, no matter what, we trust you. But God is frustrating them left and right. Their prayers are not being answered. They're in fear. Just like you say here, terror from without, and the sword from without, the vaccine can come and do something to us, and the fear from within, what's going to happen to us, the future depending on the retarded gardens, right? Don't you realize that you're the manpower behind everything in this retarded gardens? You have more power than all politicians and everything, okay? All things are non-essential when you understand what your true power and potential is. So as it stands right now, this is my understanding, that I know everything comes from the alphabet. This is knowledge and understanding. There's no need for any special faith in that. That's what it is. Okay? So you should reclaim that and understand that, and not be in fear of all of this. Now, I'm taking my sweet time, but I don't care. I'm going to do this, For those of you that have time, you'll be able to enjoy it. As you have your own time, you can watch it. And I'm also going to put it in YouTube, also for you to enjoy it, as well. But I want to read this passage from 1 Kings to give you an idea, because you need to start to prepare some special popcorn for what's about to happen, because I'm very hopeful here. I'm going to read here from, this is a wonderful thing here. Let me see. Okay, all right, so here we go. I like it this way. Let me see. Oh, here we go. So in 1 Kings chapter 22, I believe that's the last chapter in 1 Kings. But this is the death of Ahab. Ahab was a wicked king of Israel. You know, he's the one that was married to Jezebel. And he reigned for 22 years. I believe he began to reign in Israel when he was 61. He died when he was 83. So he reigned there for 22 years. And he was wicked all the way through. You know, and 22 letters of the Alef Bet. And for 22 years, you know, he just did wicked through the representation of each letter. So, you know, he reached the limit. So God was about to wipe him out. All right, so God put a special plan on this king. Okay, this king had a very interesting situation in which he had a mainstream of prophets. Because you understand that the word prophet in Hebrew is nebim, or you know, that means prophets. Okay, it's got the noon, the vav, and the im, the y, and the im at the end. But I try to call it, for English sake, the news broadcasting mainstream or media, the news broadcasting media. Okay, but that's the nebim. Okay, the prophet, because that's what it stands for. The prophets were the God's equivalent of portraying the news. He would use prophets to go after the people that were wandering after the Torah, to tell them to repent. You walked away. You're going, looking in the wrong direction. Come back to the face of Jehovah. Come back to the Torah. And so the Nemim, the NBM, the news broadcasting media that God used, you know, was the Nemim. So this guy, King Ahab, he had his news broadcasting media composed of 400 prophets, you know, and so I'm going to read this to you because this is very fascinating. So just follow me, just have a little patience. We're going to have some fun with this. He says, and they continued 3 years without war between Syria and Israel. I mean, on the top. And it came to pass in the 3rd year that Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, came down to the king of Israel. And the king of Israel said unto his servants, Know ye that Ramoth of Gilead is ours? And we be still, and take it not out of the hand of the king of Syria? And he said unto Jehoshaphat, Wilt thou go with me to battle to Ramoth of Gilead? And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, I am as thou art. My people are thy people, mi casa es tu casa. My horses as thy horses. And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, Inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today. You know, go ask something about what God has to say about this plan. All right. And the king of Israel gathered, you know, his NBM, his news broadcasting media. He gathered, okay. Yeah. He gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, 400 of them, you know, and said unto them, Shall I go against Ramoth of Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? You know, should I go do this battle, or should I hold back, right? So he's asking them. And they said, Go up, for the Lord. I mean, they're prophesying, right? For the Lord, you have for God, he shall deliver it into the hand of the king. You know, guess what, king? You are the potentate elect. You are as good as a winner here. You for sure, the battle is yours. No more to say. I mean, it's written in heaven. You are the potentate elect for this. You are being chosen to be the winner here. So, you know, they were just bragging up a storm. Okay, they were the news broadcasting media that the king had, and they were saying everything that he wanted to hear, everything in his favor. Okay, so says, Go out, for the Lord shall deliver it unto the hand of the king. And Jehoshaphat said, the other king, right, the king from Judah, Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord, besides that we might inquire of him? Because, you know, he was a little suspicious. Everybody was saying the same narrative, right? So he's saying, Hey, is there somebody else from the Lord that we can, you know, get to hear something else? Okay, so, let me see. So, yeah. And then it says, And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, there is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him. For he doth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say so. Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, hurry up and go get Micaiah, the son of Imlah. And the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, sat each on his throne, having put on their robes in a void place in the entrance of the gate of Samaria. Let me put this up. I can see it. Okay. In the entrance of the gates of Samaria. And all the prophets prophesied before them. And Zedekiah, so they were making a whole show. The media was putting all the, the special effects and all the things, commemorating the potentate elect. You are victorious, man. You got it. This battle is your stuff. All right. So they were all cheering him up, And Zedekiah, by the way, Zedekiah means Tzaddikim. It's like the righteous man, Tzaddik. He gave his name over Tzaddik. That's like a saint, compared to if you're talking Catholic talk, but they're righteous, And Zedekiah, the son of Canaanah, made him horns of iron. He prepared some horns, with iron. It's just like looking like a strong ox, right? Of iron. And he said, thus saith the Lord. This is what God is saying, with all the special effects. With these horns shall thou push the Syrians until thou hast consumed them. You're going to obliterate him. You are the potentate elect here. You are the winner already. And all the prophets, all the media that he had, all the news broadcasting media they had, the Nebim, right, were prophesying, saying, go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it unto the king's hand. It's just, this rice is cooked already. This thing is done. Consider it done. We're just bragging about this, right? So, and the messenger that was gone to Micaiah spake unto him, saying, behold now, the words of the prophets declare good unto the king with one mouth. Let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which is good. Come on, everybody's saying this thing, so just go along with the narrative. And Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord said unto me, that will I say. That will I speak. I love that verse 14. 14 is the name for numerical value of David. My second name, David. So I like that verse 14. And Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. Okay, but you guys, I love this guy because he's look at what he does. So he came to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we hold back? And he answered him, this is what Micaiah said, go and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it unto the hand of the king. And the king said unto him, how many times shall I adjure thee that thou tell me nothing but that which is true in the name of the Lord? And he said, and this is what he begins to talk. Okay, then let me tell you now. Okay, and so then he begins to say this in verse 17. And he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. If you understand that verse 17, that's the one I'm quoting today for this message, because this is what been happening today, The nations really have no masters. And all these people that pretend to be our leaders, they have their own agendas. They themselves are led by some other elites, that they have their own agendas for their own currency and what have you. Okay? And so what they've been saying, to calculate how much control they have over their consumer population, they are instilling this home arrest, call it, lockdowns. So they're sending you to your home. But one thing that you need to understand in verse 17, that if you go to your real home, because what is your real home? The strong tower, the Alef Bet. If you go to the house of the soul, then you connect, your perception is expanded. You come from just this body and just this house that you live in into everything that is made out of the Alef Bet. Then you understand your connectedness to all things that are created, because all things created are made in the alphabet, the strong tower. So if you come to the house that belongs to your soul, you're going to be there in peace. Peace means abundance. You got an abundance of everything, an abundance of courage for one thing, because you realize what I'm telling you right now. You realize that there's nothing behind happening without God doing. God is making everything happen. So there's no need for, unless you're not in His mindset. Of course, you're going to be trembling because you have not been taught that. Okay. So when you go to the Alef Bet, then you're going to just watch, be still, and enjoy the show. Be still and know that I am the giver of directions, that I'm God. Be still and know that I am the governing operations director, God. Okay? You're going to know all of that. So verse 17, I love that verse 17, because that's our verse for tonight. It says, and he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills, as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. So go to the Alef Bet. Go to the one that is founder of everything, and connect, expand your consciousness into everything else, and realize that you are the value generating entity for everything, for all the economies, especially of the retarded economies. So nobody can take that from you. You cannot be made silence. Okay, so that's verse 18. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, did I not tell thee that he will prophesy no good concerning me but evil? Did I not tell you this guy doesn't like me, And he said, hear thou, and Micaiah keeps talking here now. And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. And this is something that I love of this part, because he tells him what's going to happen. Hear now the word of the Lord. Okay, let me get all the way up here so I can get my room here. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade? Who's going to convince Ahab? Okay, he said, the Lord asking, he's having a meeting there, a meeting in the heavens there. Who shall persuade Ahab? Because God does everything, everybody works for him, and they're happy to do everything he asks them. So he said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? God's going to kill him there, right? And one said, on this manner, one suggested this. Somebody came up to the table and said, God, I think we could, and then it says, one said this manner, and another said on that manner, and somebody else said, well, I think this could work. And there came forth a spirit, okay, among the all the people who were suggesting something, that there come forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I am going to convince him. I'm going to persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? In which way are you going to do this, right? And the spirit said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit. I'm just going to lie up a storm with these prophets. I'm just going to make them all kinds of lies, and they're going to believe them in their hearts of hearts. They're going to make sure that it is you, God, that is speaking through them. They're going to be so convinced of that. It says, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all, his prophets. And he said, God said, right? And God said, thou shalt persuade him. That's going to work, and prevail also. And you're going to be successful in that attempt. Go forth, go do it, and do so. So God tell them, God, yes, that's a good idea. Go for it. Okay? Which a lot of you in other religions, in other faiths, do not think that God does this kind of stuff. Okay? But God sits in the heavens above, and he's ready to get rid of anybody that just has risen high because, he's riding on a high horse thinking that all the time he got away with what he wanted to. Everybody just all the news broadcasting media was giving him all the protection and everything, telling him, yeah, you're ahead of everything. You're the potent and elect. You're always going to be the winner, So, and God plans to get rid of somebody that just been wicked over and over again. And what he does, he brings them to the height because pride cometh before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. So they got to get really swelled up in all their pride. And so that's what happened with a lot of, did you see a similar thing going on right now? People, the so-called news broadcasting mainstream media of our time, instead of narrating the things that are happening, they're speaking like gods. They think that because they say something, that's the way it's going to be. And like God speaks and things are made that way. So that's the height. They're at the height of what I call, of pride. The haughty spirit has just emerged the thing because we said that we hold the narrative, things are going to be made. We run the show. Okay, so that's what I'm telling you. Get plenty of popcorn right now. Especially this week, packed up, because we're about to have an excellent show from on high. We're going to see how God is running this. I'm really interested in, see how God is, how God is running everything. Because nonetheless, my hope is not found in any of the politicians in this world. Because they're nothing but a factory of Avodah, right, of idolatry. But I am always interested to see how God is running everything. That's why I'm a permanent resident here, because my eternal citizenship is in the Alef Bet, the promised land for my soul. That's where I am planted. Nothing is happening to that. So I can just watch and enjoy what all the nations are going to go through. So what I'm giving you a little bit of my vantage point of how I look at things, from the Torah point of view, which is more enjoyable. Now let me see where we are here. Okay. So it says, and do so now therefore, in verse 23. So here's Micaiah talking. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. But then that mainstream there, the righteous one. But Zedekiah the son of Kenana went near and smote Micaiah in the cheek and said, which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee? And Micaiah said, behold, thou shalt see in that day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. And the king of Israel, we go all the way up here. And the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and carry him back unto Amon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, thus say the king, put this fellow in the prison, and feed him with bread of affliction and with water of affliction until I come in peace. And Micaiah said, if you come back in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me. Simple as that. If that doesn't happen, God has not spoken to me. I have no credit. Honest prophet, man. And he said, hearken, O people, every one of you. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, put it all the way to the top. And so the king of Israel, let me put it all the way to the top so you can get to see this. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went to Ramoth Gilead, and the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and enter into the battle, but put thou on thy robes. And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into the battle. But what kind of friend is this Ahab? This other king. Says, you look like a king, but I'm just not gonna look like you. It's like he's inviting this guy to go fight with him, but he's having him exposed to being killed. So you can see how wicked this guy is, man. This is like even his own allies. He's exposing them to be killed. Like just. They don't care about their ones next to you. They can be exposed to anything, But that's how these people are. when they're drenched with power, just getting away with doing whatever they want all these years. It says, so, but then the king of Syria so it says, and the king of Israel disguised himself and went into the battle. But the king of Syria, right, the people that were to go to battle, the king of Syria commanded his 32 captains that had ruled over his chariots, saying, fight neither with small nor great, save only with the king of Israel. I just want to get his head. I don't mix your time with anybody else. And it came to pass when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, dressed in all his robes, and they said, surely it is the king of Israel. And they turned aside to fight against him. And Jehoshaphat cried out, hey, wait a minute. That's not me. I'm just, the other one, okay? And it came to pass, says, when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, that they turned back from pursuing him. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture. Okay? So what happened is they were going to chase the other king, and they were getting King Ahab. But when they realized, that's not the right guy. So one of those soldiers must have just said, man, what are we going to do? So this guy must have been ready, must have his arrow and everything to knock him out. And when he arrived, it wasn't him. So he just go, he just let it go, into the air. He let the arrow go into the air, And guess what? So what happened to that arrow? Because nothing happens by mistake, right? And so here we go. And verse 34, and a certain man drew a bow at a venture and smote the king of Israel, a bow here, between the joints of the harness. Wherefore he said unto the driver of his chariot, turn thine hand and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. Verse 35, all the way to the top. And the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at even. At evening he died. And the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot, and there went a proclamation throughout the host about the going down of the sun, saying, every man to his city, every man to his house, every man to his own country. So the king died and was brought to Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. And one washed the chariot in the pool of Samaria, and the dogs licked up his blood, and they washed his armor according unto the word of the Lord which he spake. All right, so then he says, so that's at the end there. Well, so we understand. So the king, I read this like on the 22nd day of November, and I was having a good time with this chapter, and I shared with Jimmy this week, to realize that God does everything, for the purpose, of exalting his name, and to make us know that he is running the whole show. And those that are in the Torah understand, so they have nothing to fear, because if the Alef Bet, the alphabet, is your foundation, then you see him everywhere that you turn. Everything's being created by an alphabet. Everything's, is run and powered by an alphabet in the soul of man. You understand where the value generation system exists. You don't give it to anything outside. You recognize that God, kills, God makes alive, God heals, God wounds. You are not worried about anything else that happened, because after all, if your life is who God is, because that's what the life of man is who God is. And since God makes sure to protect his integrity, and who God is my life, then I am safe. You understand? Because who God is has become my life. And who he's revealing himself to me in the Torah, that's my all in all. And that's my rock and my foundation. And when you send me to my house, you're sending me to the very core of my existence. You're sending me to the Alef Bet. How can you destroy me? You're sending me to be with the one I am made to be with. So that's why being sent to home Make sure you are sent to your real home. You go to the Alef Bet and you establish yourself there. You take away and remove from before your face all the wrong rocks, all the abodasara, all the foreign services that are nothing but systems of idolatry that come from preachers, that come from politicians, that come from the many voices that do not line up with the Torah. Because I want you to establish you, in that which is the strong tower, the powerhouse of the soul. The you and the powerhouse is all. My beloved is mine and I am his. Whoa, 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 my beloved is mine and I am his. So that's all for today. But I'm going to be saying some more on Wednesday. But this is something I thought I needed to share with all of you. So let me see how we're doing here. All right, so people showed up. It's good to have you. Hey, Gabriela, got to see you. Bueno verla. Gabriela, Andy, good to see you. Rosa is here too. Wow, Brian, you made it too. Well, I'm glad you guys have it. You made it and enjoyed it here. But I thought I'd share this with you guys. And I'm going to put it also on YouTube because I've been forgetting to do that. But it's good to have this. And let me see if I'm going to finish by singing the song here, to you guys. Let me just put it down, okay? Okay, let me put this up because it's time.
Pow, goes the Powerhouse, and the COVID-19 man has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the Alef Bet, which is the original place for the fall of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like it's never been, in the power of the Father, in the Powerhouse. Cause that's what War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Alef Bet we're connected. War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Powerhouse we're connected. Truth in the T.O.R.A.H where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I sure don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure. As God ordained before the sun began to score. This ain't no lie, we're about to fly. Cause with the truth, there's nothing that can be denied. Here the COVID-19 man is hugging you up. To the Alef Bet, to the Powerhouse, where you ain't been. The COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up. Cause that's what War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Alef Bet we're connected. War Deck Trick, double rectic, to no one else I'm genuflecting. War Deck Trick, double rectic, to the Powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back, cause you will find in there the Powerhouse not scared. You won't be silenced, nobody can touch what you will find in there. Gets to cut the massive bag of lies, the righteous know they cry, cause the COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up to the Powerhouse. Leave the power show, ride his mule around. Pow, goes the Powerhouse, and the COVID-19 man has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the Alef Bet, which is the original place for the fall of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like it's never been, in the power of the Father, in the Powerhouse. Cause that's what War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Alef Bet we're connected. War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Powerhouse we're connected. Truth in the T.O.R.A.H where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I sure don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure. As God ordained before the sun began to score. This ain't no lie, we're about to fly. Cause with the truth, there's nothing that can be denied. Here's the COVID-19 man, it's hugging you. To the Alef Bet, to the Powerhouse, where you ain't been. The COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up. Cause that's what War Deck Trick, double rectic, in the Alef Bet we're connected. War Deck Trick, double rectic, to no one else I'm genuflecting. War Deck Trick, double rectic, to the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back. Cause you will find in there the powerhouse not scared. You won't be silenced. Nobody can touch what you will find in there. Gets to cut the mask and back of lies. The rationalist cries. Cause the COVID-19 man is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Live the power show. Ride the mule around.
All right, my friends. Well, as it is, that's the whole idea, you know. We're going to lead the power show and ride the mule around, all right? And 'cause that's the power that we have. So here we go.